Good Thursday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Dan Brown. We had some of those showers and thunderstorms move through yesterday afternoon and evening, and this morning just a leftover spot shower. Other than that, we're going to be staying dry today. We'll see some sunshine working in. Overall, a nice day. We can't rule out that spot shower, but I think most of us stay dry today. We'll have a breeze out of the northwest, bringing in dry air. Dew points will be lower, and so we're looking for a comfortable day today with temperatures in the middle and upper 70s. We're looking good as we head into the evening as well. Overall, we are in an unsettled weather pattern, and some showers and downpours will move back in, but probably not till tomorrow evening. So most of the day tomorrow will be dry, but an upper level system heads our way. Before it arrives, we'll get to about 80 tomorrow, and then showers and a few downpours tomorrow evening into Saturday. Now looks cloudy with scattered showers around and just a couple leftover showers on Sunday. Sunday looks to be the better of the two weekend days. Let's check on today's top stories. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, Dan. I'm Amanda Callahan. Here's your latest news update from Western Mass News. The Springfield Police Board of Commissioners, created last year after the State Supreme Judicial Court sided with the City Council's efforts to replace the position of police commissioner with the board instead, now handles issues such as disciplinary action within the force. And yesterday they met to discuss any updates. Also discussed at the meeting, the Board of Police Commissioners manual is very close to having a working draft completed, at which point the Department of Justice will look for input from the commissioners. After that, the manual is expected to be discussed at a future open meeting. Students and faculty at Pathfinder Regional Vocational Technical High School in Palmer mourning the loss of a 16-year-old student who died in a fatal crash on Tuesday afternoon. Police say the Chevy Suburban the team was driving was hit on the driver's side by a tractor trailer. Counseling services will be available to students throughout the summer, as yesterday was the last day of school. Changes might be coming to Southampton as the former Harley-Davidson dealership on College Highway could be used as a temporary processing facility for legal immigrant families, pregnant women, and those who might be displaced by natural disasters. State officials have contacted the facility about that idea.